Hey guys, I'm back at my local Walmart and we are about to go in and see what we can get for around $15. And I want to see how fresh I can make these meals again because you guys seem to really enjoy the fresh meals, and honestly, I really enjoyed that too. It's great to get some fresh meals on a budget, especially when you don't have a very big budget. Today, I'm going to tackle the trifecta. I want to make them fast, frugal, and I also want to make them fresh. So not a lot of processed things. Some things are still going to be processed, but that's life. So come join me if you're down for that. See what we get. Here is everything I got for the $15. The first thing I got was a sweet potato. I got a baked potato as well and a head of lettuce. I got a block of Colby Jack cheese that we're going to shred, one bell pepper, one purple or red onion, 2 red Roma tomatoes, a bag of broccoli cuts. I believe this one's 12 ounces or close to it. 1 ear of corn. I got this cheddar broccoli rice mixture. This is one of our things that's a little more processed but is going to really be flavorful and cut down on some prep time. I got this turkey breakfast sausage, taco seasoned ground turkey, a small container of sour cream, a pack of 10 biscuits, and I got a thing of cilantro. And this is all we got. As you can see, it's quite colorful, and we got it all for $14.81, which I will count as a win. We're also going to be using salt, pepper, and butter, and one of the recipes called for a little bit of milk, which I did use. Our first recipe we're going to focus on is this taco biscuit skillet. It took 31 minutes and 17 minutes to bake, so a little longer than I hoped for, but I wanted to include it anyway because when you first start out making meals, you're going to want to do a little more prep, cut up more things, and then it will make your life easier later in the week as you make future meals. So these are all the things that we're going to include in this meal right here. Let's go ahead and start that timer. The first thing you're going to be doing is setting your oven to 400 degrees. This is going to start prepping to help bake those biscuits on top. Next, we're going to put our stovetop onto medium heat. Next, you're going to start browning your ground taco turkey meat. And while it's starting to brown, you're going to cut up your vegetables. I cut up the tomatoes, reserving a little bit for salads later in the week. I also cubed up the pepper and the onion. And both of those veggies, I reserved about half of it, a little less than half, aside for future garnishes and future salads. Now we're just mixing everything. The turkey's fully cooked now, and we are just going to soften these veggies up a little bit and let the cooking process marinate everything together so it's very flavorful. This meat was pretty flavorful and also a little bit on the salty side, so these veggies really don't need added salt and the meat doesn't either. While those veggies soften up, I went ahead and shredded up my block of Colby Jack cheese. I shredded it all at one time and then just put the rest in a baggie and used it throughout the week with the other meals. When I made this video, I made all the meals at the same time, and I just made them up into each plate and then saran wrapped them, and that way I could just pop them in the microwave throughout the week. That's another great way to make sure that your meals are ready to go and take very little prep time. I added about a half a cup of cheese into this mixture and just stirred it until everything was melted. And then I have this little skillet that I transferred about half of the turkey taco meat into, and we're gonna go ahead and start to add on our biscuits. But first, I just added a little extra cheese because sometimes you need a little extra cheese. Now I added on our biscuits. I could only fit about 5 in this small pan. If I had chosen a less deep casserole, a wider casserole dish, I could have fit more. But those biscuits were great to go with some of the other meals throughout the week. I didn't feel like I needed all of them. We're at 30 minutes and 16 seconds and our biscuits are going in. This cooked for about 17 minutes. You could also prep everything up until the point where you're going to put the biscuits on top and then just throw it in the fridge with saran wrap on it and take it out the next night. I would advise to heat up the taco mixture and then put the biscuits on top though, as that helps to cook the underside of the biscuits. Once I took them out, I added a little bit of butter on, and while they were cooking, I made up a whole bag of salad and just added little side salads to almost every meal throughout the week. There was plenty of salads. And we are done at 47 minutes and 51 seconds, which was longer than I would hope for this meal, but a good amount of the time was spent prepping the veggies for the whole week, as well as cooking this in the oven, which I didn't really have to do much while it was cooking. Now, I am going to include a link to a salad dressing that you would be able to make using your sour cream and a few other ingredients like salt and pepper in the description box, so go ahead and check that out if you are not able to or don't have salad dressing on hand. I tend to have a lot of salad dressing on hand because it's one of those things that just kind of stays in the fridge and you only use like a tablespoon or two at a time, it seems like. So but if you don't, that's an option, or you could just add a little sour cream on top. Once I served my portion up, I went ahead and sprinkled on a little extra cheese. I added a small dollop of sour cream and a few sprinkles of the chopped cilantro, and that really just added such a nice flair to this meal. I was pretty impressed with this meal. It was delicious and flavorful, as well as being really colorful with all the different vegetables, the bell pepper, tomatoes, cilantro, tomatoes. They all really added an extra flair of freshness to this meal, and I really enjoyed it. If you were needing this to feed more than 2 people, I would spread the mixture out into a shallower dish, and that way you could add more of the biscuits on top, which would be more filling in the end. This dish fed 2 people, and I could say it could feed more if you spread it out further and added on those extra biscuits. I also thought that the side salad really helped to complete the meal and would highly recommend serving it with one. Next up, we're making these taco taters, which took me 12 minutes to make, so let's start that clock. We took out our taco mixture from the day before and heated it up. Then I cooked the ear of corn by placing the whole ear, shuck and all, into the microwave for about 4 minutes. This is the fastest way I know of to cook corn. The moisture in the husk actually helps to steam the corn and does a really great job at keeping it nice and fresh while also absorbing all the nutrients from the husk. Next, I shucked the corn and cut the corn in half. Then I took my potato, stabbed it, get all that anger out, and washed it really well. And then I'm going to microwave it. I did it on the potato setting, which is about 5 to 6 minutes depending on the settings of your microwave. I went ahead and added butter, cilantro, salt, and pepper to that ear of corn and a little garnish on the side. Then we stab our potato and promptly drop it back in the microwave. Actually, we stab it and we bring it over, avoiding all the dirty dishes in the sink. And we're going to cut our potato in half. Each half is going to serve 1 person. You're going to smash each half down with a fork. I added a little pat of butter and some salt and pepper as well, but that's optional. I think it just adds a nice little bit of flavor, especially if you have it on hand. Now to add on our taco meat mixture that's heated up, I went ahead and added a couple of spoonfuls, probably about 1/4 of a cup on top, and then I sprinkled about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of the shredded cheese and topped that with a dollop of sour cream and a little bit of cilantro for garnish. And there you have it, another delicious dinner. And as my friend Beth on Rev BTB does it, says it's called a rollover dinner, where you use what you had from the night before to the next night. And in under 12 minutes, this is a pretty fabulous thing to have. Not only was it flavorful, but also incorporated so many vegetables in this meal. I wanted to add that you could have a whole baked potato or a whole sweet potato for these meals if you needed it or wanted it, but I wanted to keep things a little lower on the calorie end because I am focusing on being healthy but also losing weight while I'm on a budget. So with that in mind, here's our next one, which are taco lettuce wraps. These only took 5 minutes to assemble. I took the leftover taco meat. We had 1/4 left pretty much, and I took large leaves from my head of lettuce that I had reserved aside. I stuck a few tablespoons of that taco meat inside. and a little bit of shredded cheese and a little bit of sour cream. And I also stuck some on the side for dipping purposes. These actually were huge. They were pretty large for lettuce leaf wraps and actually very filling. They only took me 5 minutes to assemble. This was our quickest meal option and also the lowest in calories and carbs. But if you're wanting a quick snack or a light dinner or a light lunch, these are perfect. I will say I was pretty surprised at how filling these were in spite of the fact that they are made out of lettuce. I did add some shredded cheese and some cilantro and a little bit of that sour cream on the side just so that I could add a little bit to some of the bites of the meal. This ended up being a great low carb option. Our next meal we're making is this cheesy broccoli rice skillet, which took me 28 minutes to make. This was one of our slightly more processed meals, but it still ended up really delicious, and I feel like we were able to add a lot of fresh elements to the meal. Here is what you will need for this meal. You're going to need your rice, your broccoli, some of the shredded cheese. I used the whole pound of sausage meat, and also on the back of the packet of rice it said to use 1/4 cup of milk. I used a little bit of half and half as I didn't know if the milk was the freshest in our fridge. I started the timer and then turned on my pan to medium heat and began browning the sausage meat up. After the sausage meat had finished browning, I went ahead and added in the water and the milk that the recipe called for. It also called for a tablespoon of butter. After adding in the water, butter, and milk, I went ahead and added in the packet of rice and then stirred it until everything was mixed thoroughly. I let this simmer for about 20 minutes until the rice was tender. While the rice cooked, I went ahead and made up a little side salad for this meal. A tip to keep the lettuce fresh as long as possible is to keep it not cut up, because it will just stay with that root that is on it and stay fresh longer. Our rice is looking good and our side salad is ready. I went ahead and added in the broccoli cuts towards the end. You don't want to overcook these because you want that bright pop of color and as many nutrients as possible from the broccoli. I also added about 1/2 cup of cheese as well. Whoa, that was a lot of cheese. That's better. All right, and then I stirred it all together and let that cheese melt together with the broccoli and the broccoli to heat through. Our rice is completely cooked, so we're gonna go ahead and stop our clock at 27 minutes and 13 seconds. Now to plate. I kept a side salad on this plate along with a good helping of the rice and broccoli mixture. This turned out really flavorful and was probably my husband's favorite of all of these dinners. I went ahead and topped the rice and the side salad with just a little extra shredded cheese just for that nice little extra touch of richness and flavor and the pop of color. This rice mix actually made a ton of rice. It could have actually fed 6 people with the amount of rice that came out of that dish, especially since we beefed it up with the sausage meat and the broccoli, and it was delicious as well. So if you needed an extra meal, this would be where you would find it. We're actually going to use some of this rice mixture that was left over to make another rollover meal for our next meal, and that'll be this cheesy broccoli rice sweet potato, which took me 12 minutes to make. For this meal, I have our leftover cheesy rice mixture, our sweet potato, sour cream, our bag of salad that has our peppers, onions, and tomatoes in it, and a little bit of shredded cheese. So let's go ahead and start our timer. I went ahead and washed our sweet potato first, and then some more anger management. Stabbed it. Then we're gonna throw it in the microwave for about 4 to 5 minutes or until it's soft and a fork goes through quickly and easily. While the sweet potato cooked, I went ahead and just started up making up a little side salad on the plate. and arranged it beautifully, of course. I really feel that you can add a sense of richness to each meal, no matter the price tag of the meal, just by making it look pretty on the plate. We had all this salad left at the end of the week, as well as a good portion of sour cream, cheese, and some leftover rice and broccoli mixture. So you really could have another meal out of those items alone, and they were already prepped, so it would be a quick meal as well. I halved our sweet potato and went ahead and smushed the half out. Then I added some of our broccoli and cheese rice mixture on top to load it up, and topped it with sour cream, shredded cheese, and you could also have added a little cilantro left, which we had a lot of cilantro that actually keeps really well in the fridge if you stick it in a glass of water, the roots in a glass of water like you would a vase of flowers. I found this method can help the cilantro to stay fresh and green for up to 3 weeks. And here is my finished meal. I've been on a bit of a sweet potato kick, so this actually was my personal favorite out of all the meals. But it also was so pretty on the plate with that vibrant orange from the sweet potato and then all of the greens and purple from the salad and the onions. This meal was so delicious and just so fresh tasting as well, and very filling. You'll find the recipes for each of the meals we made in this video in the description box, as well as a grocery list in case you're wanting to go to the store and make these meals this next week. We had all of this left at the end of the week, as well as a bunch of the cilantro and some of the cheese left. But as you can see, this in itself is a separate meal, so it's not like we have some random ingredients just laying around that won't get used, which I really loved about this. Sometimes my utilization of the different ingredients is not as good, but this time around it was absolutely spot on, and I couldn't be happier with the results. I hope this has given you some hope for your budget, maybe a little bit of a budget reset if you're needing this week to be a little lower in the grocery bills. And now I have to go and clean all these dishes. So I will see you in the next one. Thanks for joining me, guys.